You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 51 of the Batter MLS Fans Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Ganada, and alongside me, as always, Mr. KBD. How are you doing, sir?
We're 25% in. I didn't even think of that.
I say, look, the sirens are out.
Didn't even consider 25%.
That. Yeah, that's it. We're a quarter of the way through. Most teams have played 11 matches. Two teams have played 10 matches, which is Miami and New England. But 11 matches in, that's more than a quarter. But we are about a quarter of the way through, a little over a quarter of the way through. So, now it's time to have a little fun. We have enough. We've seen enough where we can kind of say, all right, this team might be for real. This team probably not. We can look over some stat leaders, talk about some U.S. Open Cup, because I know that you are very excited to talk about a U.S. Open Cup. But let's start. 25% in through the season. Biggest surprises, and I'll start. Biggest surprise to me, the LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy, defending champions. Oh, I apologize. It's defending champions. And, I mean, they haven't really – Ricky Puig, big loss. I get it. But for them to go in 11 games into the season and they have 0 wins, 3 draws, that's it. That, to me, is shocking because I don't think there's ever been a bigger collapse. And I want to say just about in any sport than, I mean, maybe the Bulls when they lost Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman from one year to the next. But Ricky Puig, that's it. And I understand that he is their best player. But, man, like that is a huge fall of from champions to possibly one of the worst teams of all time is what it's looking like right now. What surprises have you had so far in the beginning of this season?
So you mentioned LA Galaxy. I'm going to head on to the other side of the league. And if I was to tell you that the worst 3 teams in the East are Montreal, Toronto, and Atlanta United, if I would have told you that in the beginning of the season, you would have thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
And Atlanta United is a big surprise to me. And the worst part is that they've only scored 12 goals. With the acquisitions that they made in 11 games, in the beginning of the season, the acquisitions that they made, you told me they have 12 goals only, 2 wins, 4 draws, and 5 losses. That's astronomically bad. The amount of money they paid for Latelat, it's been a mess.
And they bring back Almiron. But the thing is with Atlanta, even though they are pretty bad at this moment, up until recently, I felt like they looked like they had a life. They just couldn't get converted goals. But even with that, I understand that people overrated them a bit because they eliminated Miami. I get it. Everybody was hyped up. All of a sudden, they bring Almiron back. We don't know what he's going to be like. Right. I understand. But, like, they were the 9th seed going into the playoffs, and they became the 9th seed on the last day. They might have even missed that. So, to me, like, I get it because of the hype. But, man, could you really – I didn't expect them to be that great. I didn't expect them to be this bad. I thought they would be a playoff team. And they still could be, but man, they've been digging themselves a hole, and all of a sudden they got a little fight going on in the dressing room. Like things are falling apart for Atlanta.
Well, I mean, luckily it's still early. They're still decently competitive that they can be able to crack into the 8th or 9th spot. But again, with the expectation in the beginning of the season, it's actually the opposite of the LA Galaxy. Everybody knew that the LA Galaxy were going to take a dump, but everybody expected Atlanta United not to.
I don't think the Galaxy should have taken a dump the way they did. Like you know what my issue is that they haven't won any games. Like to not win every single outside of Montreal, but Montreal would just like if you look at the roster on Montreal, they're just bad. Prince Ahuse is probably the best player they have, and Sealy. But like that's just look, your boy Bryce Duke isn't even getting on the pitch anymore. He's not in the starting 11. Like that team is just bad. So I understand them. Yeah. But the Galaxy, they still got Peck, they still got Painsil, like they still got Marco Ruiz, which I can't do much of anything. I don't know. The defense has been horrible. It's just to me, would you blame this on coaching?
No.
Really? You wouldn't blame this on Vanny? No?
No. No, I wouldn't blame it.
Wow.
Not solely. I think that there's blame to be passed.
He didn't win not even one game.
I don't know, Danny. This is bad.
I don't know. To me, it has to fall on coaching at some point, because for you not to win one game, that's just wild to me. Especially when you come off of being the champion. Like you had a championship roster, even though I think they might have overperformed, I guess is the best way I could put it. But man, like Ricky Pooch, like he should win MVP without even playing this year, because I think he proves that he's the most valuable player.
Oh, for sure. Now, I mean, those are negative, I guess, surprises. Positive surprises for me, I'll give you mine. Soccer Daddy says, nah, but we enjoy SD. I imagine Soccer Daddy's talking about San Diego. San Diego FC is a big surprise to me, because I thought that they weren't going to get anywhere with the draft picks that they had. So for me, San Diego has been a surprise for me. And they're sitting right there at the top 4 spot.
Yeah, I threw up the Western Conference standings. To me, surprise, Portland. I left Portland for dead the way they started the season. They lost to Vander. I thought that they were going to have a hard time kind of getting things right after that. I remember that first game of the season where they went down to 10 men, and then Vancouver just put 4 on their head, and it was bad. And it took a while for the things to get going. But David DaCosta's been playing well. Anthony's been playing well. Portland has surprised me, because I left them for dead, and all of a sudden they're in the 3rd spot. So Portland to me is a big time surprise.
Yeah, for sure. And the West, look, the West is exactly what I thought the West was going to look like. This is it. Maybe San Diego a little higher than Dallas.
How funny is it that we thought Seattle would do good? Then all of a sudden they started really bad, and everybody's like, why would you say that they're going to do good? Look, they're trash. We said they're the Pittsburgh Steelers of the MLS. They're going to be there. They're going to be relevant. They're tied for 6th right now. And if things fall their way, they are literally 3 points behind the 2nd spot in the Western Conference. Seattle's just that team. They're just always going to be around.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Seattle's a team that we expect to see them in the playoffs for sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to put up the Eastern Conference. Are you surprised by Columbus?
I'm surprised that they're at the top. Yes. I'm actually kind of disappointed in where Inter Miami is at. I didn't expect Inter Miami to be in the 4th spot. I mean, in the beginning of the season, I did say that Inter Miami shouldn't care where they land. Supporter Shield, we've already experienced it. No need for it. But Columbus, I'm very surprised. Same thing with Philly. Philly, I'm very surprised too.
I think Philly's probably the biggest surprise, I think, in the East Coast. And then real quick about the Miami point. Miami has a game in hand. So technically, if they were to win that game in hand, they're tied for first. But Philadelphia, I think, has been a big surprise. Even I thought when Gazdag left, things were going to fall. The wheels were going to come off. They've managed to right the ship. Quinn Sullivan's been playing great. His brother, Kevin Sullivan, finally made his starting 11 debut in the Open Cup. Yeah. I think he's like the youngest player of all time in the MLS, or was it for just Philadelphia? I don't remember how old Freddie Adu was when he debuted.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to have to look that up. ChatGPT time.
Let's see. Nashville, I thought, has been a pleasant surprise. Orlando and their ineptitude in scoring, to me, has been a big surprise also. They've gone, I think, 4 out of the last 5 games have been 0-0 draws. Like, I believe that they've gone 0-0 over the last 4 out of the last 5 games. Like, they haven't been scoring, but they haven't gotten scored on, which is wild to me. So I thought that was been a surprise also. And then New England.
Kevin Sullivan is the youngest player, by the way.
In MLS history.
In MLS history, yes.
And then New England. That's even worse than Portland, the start that they had to the season. Remember, that it was like the 7th or 8th game of the season, and they still hadn't scored an open play goal. It was only an own goal and a couple set pieces. And here they are. They're in the 9th seed.
But I told you that wasn't gonna pan out consistently. I told you that Campana is gonna come in and make a difference for New England, and Campana's been scoring goals.
No,
I think he's the key. I think he's the key.
Nah, you're crazy. I think Carlos Hill has been the one
Carlos
that's
Hill
gotten.
Carlos Hill's been playing there without Campana. He was only getting goals off of penalties and free kicks.
So, and then just to go back real quick to Orlando, in their last 5 games, April 5th, 0-0 draw, Orlando Philly. Against the Red Bulls, 0-0 draw. Against Montreal, which is a terrible team, 0-0 draw. Then they played against Atlanta. This is how bad Atlanta is. Orlando scored 3 on Atlanta, won 3-0. And then against Chicago this past weekend, 0-0 draw. Even though Chris Brady got sent off and Chicago was playing with 10 men for, I think, it's a whole second half, I want to say.
Karate kid kicking a kid.
Yeah. But to Orlando's credit, over the last 5 games, they've surrendered 0 goals. Even they haven't been scoring, but they haven't been surrendering goals either. And then and over the last 5, 6, 7, over the last 7 games, they've given up 2 goals. So their defense has been playing well. Galese had a great weekend this past weekend. So, all right.
Orlando, I feel like, is one of those teams also. I feel like they're one of those teams that, for as much as you want to hate them, they're going to be in the playoffs.
Oh, and I think they will. Look, they're in the. I put the top 14 teams in the Supporters Shield standings right now. Orlando's 13th. Like, they're not playing horribly. It's just that they've been just drawing, and then they've been ugly draws. 0-0 draw is as ugly as you could possibly get.
Yes, it is.
So they're still in it. And then, I mean, I guess San Diego, when I look at those teams, San Diego's probably the name that kind of stands out to me the most because they're an expansion team. And then you wouldn't expect an expansion team to do this well, but they've been doing well. Chuck Lozano had a good game this past weekend. So those are the Supporters Shield standings.
And Charlotte, I mean, they're there too. And I think Charlotte can be able to kind of pierce up to the top as well. So,
well, I'm going to go ahead and real quick just share my screen so that you can see the stat leaders, just so we can take a look at those real quick. Now, these are the stat leaders. In goals, you have Chicho Arango, followed by Kuipers and Ty Baribo. Now, Ty Baribo had a game where he scored 4 goals. And did Chicho have
a little
hat-trick?
lopsided?
I think Chicho might
he
have
did
had
have a hat trick, yes. That's where he stole a goal off of Joseph, I believe.
Yeah. So, but those are the top in the Golden Boot race. Is a 3-way tie right now for Chicho Arango, Hugo Kuipers, and Ty Baribo. I said it. I forgot. Was it on this show? Or I predicted that the Golden Boot would go to Hugo Kuipers, and I still think that's a possibility, especially if Kevin De Bruyne ends up there, and we'll talk that on a second. Assists, Christian Espinosa is leading the league with 7. Chucky Lozano's, wow, he missed a bunch of games. He's right there, tied with 6. Luis Suarez is there. Pep Biel is there.
Wow.
Key passes, Christian Espinosa. Christian Espinosa might be the most underrated. Him and Mihailovic. Oh, look, Mihailovic right there, second place. Underrated players in the league. Leading in shots, Boangna, 49 shots. Orango behind him. Benteke, 46. Sam Surridge, which has been playing great for Nashville. And then the one-man wrecking crew, Gabriel Peck, is the only reason that Galaxy have any life. He's taken 38 shots.
That's all he is.
That's it.
Yeah, Gabriel Peck and Diego Luna literally carrying their teams forward.
Shots on target, Christian Benteke with 22. Of those 22, it doesn't tell me, but just take how many do you think are headers? Because I would assume 21 of them are headers. 21 of them have to be headers. And then touches. Wow. Verskov from San Diego, Jep Verskov, 951 touches. So they're playing. Wow. Ricky Puig would probably be up there.
Days on there.
Yeah. All right. And then right here, just in club stats, San Jose is leading the league with leading in goals, assists, the Whitecaps, passes completed, Columbus, because Nancy likes to play with possession. Expected goals, Whitecaps far and away. Games played, that's silly. Yellow cards. And yellow cards, in Miami, I thought would be leading there at some point, but it looks like they've taken a step back.
Well, that's because the players that Miami expected to play aggressively have not been playing as aggressively. So,
So those are the stat leaders so far in the season. And I guess we can touch on one quick little rumor that's been going around. Inter Miami apparently had the discovery rights to Kevin De Bruyne, but now it seems the Chicago Fire have now acquired those discovery rights. What do you think about Kevin De Bruyne joining Chicago? Because Chicago, it looked like they had figured things out. They were getting going, and then all of a sudden, things kind of just went awry.
I mean, I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I think that Kevin De Bruyne would be a better suit for Chicago. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I mentioned it.
You said Chicago, I said Columbus.
Yes. And I mean, look, now they have the rights. I mean, they passed the Excel spreadsheet to Chicago, and now Chicago has the opportunity to try to take advantage of getting Kevin De Bruyne. And I think it's going to be, if it happens, it's great for the league, and it's great for a team that definitely needs the resurgence again. Because Chicago at some point had a really heavy sort of fan base, really backed them up.
Well, the thing is, I think that Chicago has a great attacking three. They have Kuipers up the middle as a striker. You have Bamba on the left, and then you have Zinchenko on the right, and that's underrated.
Yes.
And Gutierrez playing in the midfield. If you could link them up with Kevin De Bruyne, I think that team, that's a huge boost, and I think that they would be a really serious contender for just about anything moving forward. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know, because I still have a hard time believing that Kevin De Bruyne is going to leave Europe to come play in Chicago, but maybe. And then real quick, somebody asked about Sunday Night Soccer. This week's Sunday Night Soccer game.
Shout out to Adam with the Super Slam.
Much appreciated, Adam. The Sunday Night Soccer game is Vancouver versus LAFC. So, and it'll be in Vancouver. So what are the chances? If you give me a percentage, do you think Kevin De Bruyne goes to Chicago?
Yes.
You do. I don't see.
You want me to give you a percentage? Yeah, I could see him getting there instead of anywhere else.
I already thought he was going to Miami.
80%.
80%. Now, if Miami had the discovery rights, because Jorge Mas wanted De Bruyne. If he gave up the discovery rights, it has to be because Miami has something else in mind, right? Maybe they found out De Bruyne doesn't want to come, and they're like, okay, so we have to give up the discovery rights. But regardless, they have to have something else in mind. What do you think?
Yeah.
Is Angel Di Maria? Because that's been that's what everybody thinks. Angel Di Maria. I think that Neymar thing gets put to bed because I don't even think Miami would want him at this point because he just keeps getting injured.
I mean, but the Di Maria thing, didn't he just sign a new contract?
I don't think so. You might be right, but I don't think so.
That's what I was under the assumption that he's. I mean, look, but also Neymar is also mostly injured, soccer daddy. So
if you could pick between Di Maria and Neymar, I feel like Di Maria doesn't get as injured as much as Neymar. But if you could pick between the two, knowing their injury and how prone they are to injuries, which one would you pick?
I think that the better business decision for Inter Miami would be to get Neymar. I think that would be the better business decision. I feel like getting the better player would be Di Maria for sure.
Well, I think if they're both healthy, I think Neymar's a better player. But I worry more about Neymar's health than Di Maria. All right, but Kevin De Bruyne to Chicago, I think that Chicago all of a sudden would become a serious contender, and that would be really fun to look forward to. U.S. Open Cup.
We're going to talk. I do want to talk a little bit about San Diego because Esteban's mentioning about jerseys. He's calling them the new daddy of all. Listen, San Diego put up 5 goals this past weekend. San Diego's looking real nice. I've been tooting the horn of San Diego for sure.
And I will tell you that I did not believe in Chucky. I didn't think that he'd be good, but he had a really good game. I believe he had 4 goal contributions this past weekend. But before we get to that, I know you've been all over the U.S. Open Cup because you love it. What have you thought about the U.S. Open Cup? I know we're down to the round of 16.
Well, I mean, it's been kind of what it was expected. Like round of 16, 15 representatives from the MLS side. It's called U.S. Open Cup. It looks like it's called U.S. Closed Cup at this point, right? I mean, this was like the round for USL to represent and get wins. And the USL teams kind of pooped the bed, or not really pooped the bed, but like they are who we thought they were. There's only one team.
Are you sure there's only one team?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just looking at it. U.S. Open Cup, the only team that's representing in the round of 16, the USL, is Pittsburgh Riverhounds SC.
Yeah,
because you have New England versus Chicago. You have New England versus Chicago. You have San Jose versus Portland. NY Red Bulls against Dallas. Orlando against Nashville. DC United against Charlotte. Austin against the Dynamo. And Minnesota versus St. Louis. I mean, that's going to be a hell of a matchup, that Philadelphia versus Pittsburgh. The Pennsylvania Pounder. That's going to be a good matchup for sure.
Yeah. Well,
and that's the only representative from USL, the US.
And we were just talking about what a rough time Orlando's had getting. Jeez. We were talking about how rough of a time Orlando has had scoring goals. They played against the Tampa Bay
and they scored
Rowdies.
5.
Put up 5. So
and the Tampa Bay Rowdies are like.
I don't know. Everybody that keeps saying that MLS has to worry about the USL taking over, I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
I mean, Chicago handedly beat Detroit City, which is one of the better representing teams of the USL. Detroit is like one of the top teams.
Detroit needs an MLS team. You know, I was looking the other day, and there are 12 cities in this country that have what most people call the 4 major sports, right? NBA, MLB, NFL, and NHL, right? And then they always leave out the MLS. So I wanted to see, of those 12, how many also had an MLS team? 11 of the 12. The only one missing? Detroit. That's it. So there's 11 cities that have all 5 major sports, and there's 12 that have 4. So Detroit would be that one missing, and so that means there's only 12 cities that I'm willing to move to in this country, because I need all major sports. I've told my wife this when she talks about like relocating. I said wherever we relocate, they need to have a representative for each league, because I need to be able to attend these games. But that's a story for another day. All right, way too early predictions.
Well, the predictions in terms of, are you talking about predictions for the games or predictions of where teams are going to be sitting? What kind of predictions are we talking about here, Danny?
Well, we could do just teams that you feel are going to end up in the top 4 first.
So teams that are going to end up in the top 4, right? Right now, the way that the standings are looking, you have Vancouver, Minnesota, Portland, and San Diego on the west. And then on the east, we have Columbus, Philadelphia, Cincy, and Inter Miami. I don't see too much movement happening on the east. I do believe that Columbus and Philadelphia will hold down the top spot. I'm not so sure about Cincinnati. I do believe that Charlotte can move up a little bit on that. I feel like Charlotte is going to be fighting for a top 4 spot. Just don't know if they're going to get it over Cincinnati or Inter Miami. But I do believe that the top. I don't think so, man. I don't think they're going to fall out. I think that
I do.
So you think Philadelphia is going to fall out? My top 4, I think, is going to be Columbus, Philly, Charlotte, Miami, in no particular order.
I would substitute Philadelphia with Charlotte. I always told you that I think Charlotte's going to end up being either number 1 or 2 in the East. I still think that they'll somehow work their way there, even though Saha's become a little baby crying and stuff because people are mean to him. But I do think that Charlotte will end up in the top four. I think Philadelphia will come out of there. Any of the teams on the bottom you think will make a surge, a late run where it's like, oh, they might end up in the top four?
You're not gonna like my answer,
New
but
England.
I'm gonna go with New England.
I knew it.
I was gonna go with Orlando, but Orlando always has these dips and dives that I don't feel like. First of all, I don't feel like they really care too much about being top four. As long as they're in the playoffs, I think they're cool.
Yeah, and would that be crazy to say that I think Atlanta still makes the playoffs?
No, I think that they're still going to make the playoffs.
You do? Okay. Well, because I think Atlanta could still make the playoffs, and I think Chicago could still make the playoffs. But then who doesn't make it?
NYCFC.
Really? Okay. Alfonso Martinez.
Yeah, I don't think NYCFC
is a baller, but okay.
Yeah, I don't think NYCFC is going to make it in that equation that you're mentioning.
Yeah. Anybody else?
And I feel like maybe Nashville might not be there. I think that next year they're going to be a huge problem, but this year I
agree. I think that they're a year away. I think next year they're going to be a big problem, but they're already building. Yeah. You could see it, right? You could see it coming. Yes. I think that they're a year away. I can see Chicago making the playoffs also, especially if they get to Kevin Bruyne in the summer. But I think that Chicago. So let's go over to the West Coast. Here, top four.
Top four, I think it's going to stay exactly how it is. I don't see anyone piercing the top four. The only other team I can see possibly approaching the top four would maybe be Colorado, because I would go with San Jose, but they suck real bad in defense.
Oh, yeah, defensively they're horrible. And they didn't bring anything in the summertime. They're let's bring in Chicho, let's bring in Joseph. It's like, but you had the worst defense in the league last year. What are you doing to fix that?
Yeah.
I think Seattle and Colorado end up in the top four. I think Portland and San Diego fall out.
Wow. Yeah. No, man. I think that San Diego's balanced enough. And I feel like Portland has been able to make the turn. Losing a huge, colossal piece, they've been able to find other players to sort of pick up the piece and make it work.
No, I get it. And David Da Costa has been doing a nice job. He's not a Vander, but he's been doing a nice job filling in. Anthony's finally coming to his own, but I don't know. I see them falling out. I feel I'm not saying they're not going to make the playoffs, but I think when it's all said and done, Vancouver, Minnesota, Seattle, and Colorado will fill up those top four spots. That's what I think.
I think Vancouver and Minnesota are a lock. I feel like they're a lock, 1 and 2. Yeah. As far as the way that it looks right now, I feel like it's perfect the way that it looks, and I think that's where we're going to see ourselves halfway in the season.
Anybody that you think comes from the bottom and creeps its way to the top? And real quick, Esteban saying how many teams score more than 3 goals? Nashville scored 7, and we both said that they might not even make the playoffs. You just have those really good games.
Yeah.
Which team do you think might make?
He's also asking us to answer this. He's also asking us to answer LA or San Diego. Well, for sure, San Diego over the Galaxy, for sure.
Yeah. But
as far as LAFC,
I don't know, man. I
feel like San Diego. LAFC. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think San Diego beat LAFC this season already.
I believe so.
But yeah, I think that they already. I don't know. They beat them 3-2 at the end of March.
Wagner, David Martinez. I don't know. They'll bring somebody in the summer. I don't know, man. I think San Diego falls out of top 4, and they might fall behind the LAFC. But it'll be interesting. I'm not going to say for sure, but it might happen. Now, bottom of the table, who do you think makes a late run? And like, ooh, maybe they're going to make it up. A lot of people were saying the Galaxy, San Jose. A lot of people saying the Galaxy. The Galaxy, I think they're digging themselves way too big a hole. They're not making the playoffs.
At this point, they're cooked. At this point, they're completely cooked. Sasonao and everything. San Jose, I think, is the team that would make the run for sure.
Okay,
because they score goals. So they could either they're going to really win or they're going to really lose. Like there's no one way or the other with San Jose, and I feel like San Jose is going to be able to pull enough strings to be able to make a huge, a huge jump up.
I don't know. I'm looking at the bottom of this table, and I don't believe in any of these teams. So
really, not even St. Louis, not even Houston with Jack McLean.
Let's see how many. Brooklyn Reigns is finally getting on the pitch. Make sure you get to know the name. I thought he was going to start this season because they lost their midfield over the offseason, and he didn't. But he's finally getting some playing time, and he's been playing well. But
look
at
St. Louis. Angus is saying Galaxy is worse than SPKC.
Yeah, they are. But you know what? What did I tell you when KC finally fired for me? So what did I tell you? They're finally going to start winning some games.
Yeah,
it's like what's happening. It's like a thing in sports. It always happens. If the Galaxy all of a sudden finally get rid of Vanny, all of a sudden they're going to win the next 2 games. Like it's wild how that happens. St. Louis, they've played 11 games. How many goals do you think they've scored?
8.
Good guess. Yeah. 8 goals.
What?
They don't score.
Oh shit.
They don't score. They've given up 12 goals, which is good defensively. That's good. But they don't score goals. So I don't believe in St. Louis. Close, Soccer Daddy. Close. Okay, San Jose, I guess. The Real Salt Lunas, I don't maybe.
No way. Maybe. No way.
Sporting KC? No. I don't see it. I think that, and I don't even believe in Dallas, and they're in 9th place right now. I think the top 8 are going to be the top 8. I think the top 8 are going to be the top 8 once the playoffs start.
So then everybody else under 8 is going to fight for that 9th spot.
Yeah, and then losing that in that 1-game playoff to whoever it is. All right.
I don't know, dude. San Jose can easily win a game after mad goals.
Who's going to win the Supporter Shield? Now we're going to start doing random predictions. Who's winning the Supporter Shield? Does Vancouver hold off?
It's a good question because Vancouver has actually been winning without one of their best players.
Without the best player.
Yeah, and I think Vancouver might hold off their spot and win the Supporter Shield. I think Miami doesn't care enough to know what the feel is to have the Supporter Shield. So I don't think that they're gonna try if it's really out of grasp, then they're not gonna try. They're good with a playoff spot. Charlotte, maybe.
I don't believe in Philadelphia. So they're in 3rd, but I don't believe in them. And even though I said that they would have a good season, but I don't think that they're like 3rd Supporter Shield standing good. But I think Miami and Vancouver and Columbus, those are going to be the 3 teams fighting for it at the end. Like I said, I still don't think Miami loses more than 3 games this season. But Vancouver is looking like that good where they could also do something similar. So I think it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, let me finish it with this question. A quarter through the season, who would you say is the MVP? Or give me a top 3. 1, 2, 3 MVPs this season. If you want, I'll start. Okay. Or you got it. Okay.
No, I'm going to go ahead.
Pep Biel, number 1 from Charlotte. I think that team does not play as good without him. So I'm going to go Pep Biel. Andre Dreyer from San Diego. I think that he's underrated. People aren't talking about him enough. I think Andre Dreyer would be up there. And number 3, probably Evander, man. I think Evander has filled in that. Remember, last year we were talking at one point where Lucho Acosta, whenever he didn't play for like the previous 2 or 3 years, Cincinnati literally never won a game without him. Yeah. He left. Evander came in.
Yeah,
and he's been looking solid. So I think to me those are the top 3 for MVP at the moment. I can't think if I'm forgetting anybody right now, but off the top of my head, I think those are the top 3. Your top three in MVP.
Well, so the top two for me, so there's a couple players that I've thought about. Anthony from Portland would be one. Uh, I'm also going to go with Brian White. Brian White has been a hell of a player for Vancouver, scoring goals, especially when needed the most. And the other player I'm probably going to have to go with is going to have to be Mihailovic. Mihailovic has been able to play really, really well this season and be a great facilitator. Like nobody expected Colorado to be where they're
Mihailovic is
sitting.
Mihailovic is your favorite player's favorite player.
Yes.
I really
so
like
far
Mihailovic.
He's playing fantastic. Like Colorado is always fun to watch. Yeah, Colorado is one of the funnest teams to watch. So for me, I love watching Colorado, and they've been one of your favorite teams too. And Vancouver is also a great team out in the West. Like it's funny that I picked three players from the West, and essentially
you did go all West Coast.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Soccer Daddy, it's absolutely too early for MVP, but we're just having a little fun here, Soccer Daddy. So a quarter of the way, 25% of the way through, who do you think? That those were our picks. Now, I will tell you, I figured like, man, Vancouver's playing so good. How could I not pick a Vancouver player? But, man, I feel like that it's such a team over there. Like, that team is so good that I have a hard time just picking Brian White because I feel like that team is playing so well
together.
Giving
one player.
Yeah, because Ali Ahmed, Sabi, Berhalter's been balling. I don't know if they have a most improved. I don't think they have a most improved award, but Berhalter's been balling. Kubas, they got Vite. Like they have such a good team. I just couldn't think of Brian White winning it, but maybe. And also the fact that he has 6 goals. Before them came in one game.
Well, the other player that I was kind of thinking about mentioning that would be a surprise to a lot of people is Quinn Sullivan from Philadelphia.
Ooh,
Quinn Sullivan to me is a great player. He doesn't get a lot of props.
Yes.
And he makes things happen for that team. And even after they lose Gazdag, like that's huge.
Yeah. That Quinn Sullivan's having an awesome season. Nobody's talking about him, and Ty Baribo is getting most of the talk because he had a hot start to the season. But I mean, he's cooled off. He's had 7 goals, but I think he's had like 1 or 2 over the last month and a half. So yes, Quinn Sullivan, another one. Like we should just have our own most improved award show here.
Okay, for sure. That's something.
Most valuable non-DP player.
I would go with Anthony.
Okay. He's not a DP? I don't know.
Yeah. No, as far as I know, he's not a DP. I'll look it up, but last I checked, he wasn't a DP.
I think Rothrock from Seattle has been doing a great job. And Quinn Sullivan also, like you said. But Rothrock, I think, was holding it down when Seattle was struggling for a while.
Yeah, so Felipe Mora, Diego Charra, Sebastian Blanco, Jimmy Charra, and David Acosta are the Portland Timbers DPs at the moment.
You named like 6 of them. It's only 3. Maybe it's 10 players.
Hold on. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. And then just last question for you. Your favorite keeper of the year, because you love keepers.
I ever since I've been doing those keeper blocks, for those of you that enjoy those, I love doing those. Brady has been my favorite keeper to watch.
Joe Dirt, a.k.a. Chris Brady. He got a red card this past Sunday.
Yes, he did, for karate kicking a guy in the face.
Right outside the box.
I want to mention this, Esteban. Listen, we answered a couple of your questions. We've been trying to CJ Dosan. He's a good goalkeeper. Are you kidding me, Danny? Come on. But we've been answering people's questions here, Esteban. So yours and Saga Daddy's, a couple other people, and your comment is great. Let's do a live show where you answer your chat someday. This is something that we're planning on doing in the future. We're gonna We're gonna make it nice and tidy for you guys. Don't worry.
St. Louis isn't a boring team to watch in Energizer Park. On TV, they are though.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah.
On TV, they are. But
yeah.
All right, Chris. We are a quarter of the way through. I saw somebody ask earlier if we were going to do a recap. We did do a recap this week. This week just honestly just got really busy. But
yes,
since it was a quarter of the way through, we figured we just recap everything, and we'll get back to our regular schedule of recaps on Tuesdays, maybe roundtable next week, and just keep having some fun because it's been fun talking MLS.
Yeah, it's been extra fun. It's been amazing, honestly. Quarter of the way through the season. It's been a really good experience. It's been eye-opening. I imagine I can say this for you and for myself to be able to experience some of the other teams in the league. And I actually encourage for those of you that don't watch the league, watch a couple highlights. It's really interesting to be able to find some other great players within this league.
And if you haven't already, please do us a favor and like the episode. If you're on here right now watching live, it does do us a world of makes a world of difference for us, and we really appreciate it. If you're listening on audio, we appreciate you listening all the way to the end. Please leave us 5 stars, comment, review, all that good stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. And for those of you in the chat, as always, you guys are the best part of the show. We appreciate you hanging out with us for the last 42 minutes, and we'll be back doing recaps on Tuesday of Match Day 12. And that's about it. We'll be back next week. So until the next one, have a good one.